Hey, Tim Sykes here. Crazy day in the stock markets today. Sorry for the late night video lesson, but I'm in Asia, so I'm on the other side of the world, but I can still go over what's happening and try and protect you because there are some people that I think need a little reminder of the rules, but also congrats to so many of you. Before I begin, first mention tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, November 15th, I will be giving a free webinar on how to adapt to this changing market. This is more important than ever. That's why this webinar is 100% free. I want to give you no excuse whatsoever not to join in and watch and learn. Also, we have our annual holiday sale. All of these newsletters and DVDs are 30, 40, 50, 60, 70% off. I'll post the links to both of them underneath here. But first, I got to talk about the big stock of the day, which is DRYS. Many people are saying they've never seen anything like DRYS before. Let me pull up a chart of DRYS. It is now in the 40s, and it is up from the 4s. So nice 10 times your money in 3 days. It's not predictable in a sense like, oh, I knew it was going to go up 10 times. I don't try to predict these things, okay? Let me be very clear, because some people are trying to put words in my mouth. I'm not prepared for this. I'm not like, oh my God, I know this is going to go up this much. I react to this. I am prepared right now. I'm prepared for the reaction. And do you know why? Because I have seen it many times before. I posted this commentary in the chat room. Look at this. Crazy lessons from the biggest stock of the year. This was a little while ago, roughly actually 1 year ago. But this stock too went from the single digits all the way up to the 40s. And wait, there's more. Here's another one. AQXP went from 2 to 55, and there's a video lesson on that, so you subscribers should watch it. Very few of you are watching it. This is a year old, and hardly anybody's watching it. It's pathetic. If you study the past, you are better prepared for the future. If you have never seen a play like DRYS, well, guess what? Go back and study. This is why I have 4,000 video lessons. I think it would be very difficult to find a pattern that I haven't reviewed. Obviously, every single situation is slightly different, but it's better to at least understand that this can happen. And that is why I'm shocked that so many people were shorting this in the 20s, 25, 30 range, and they're getting absolutely destroyed. It does not make me happy to see people get destroyed. It does not make me happy to see people lose, okay? I'm not rooting for anybody. Part of the reason why I trade with such a small account is because I want you to understand it doesn't matter what I do, okay? It doesn't matter if I'm long the stock, if I'm short the stock, if I don't trade it. My whole purpose is trying to give you the best unbiased commentary that I can. And I would not be aggressively shorting this one because I don't know how high it goes. And as a short seller, I want all short sellers to make as much money as possible because it makes me look bad. It makes short selling look bad when you lose and blow up. But people do lose and blow up on stocks like this when they don't follow the rules that I've worked so hard to explain and refine over the past 2 decades. I don't know how high this goes, okay? And maybe it comes down. Maybe the short sellers who are shorting it in the 20s, 30s, 40s, they'll be rewarded eventually. But I think that they risk far too much. And this happened with the weed stocks where they're going down on their positions 30, 40, 50, 70%. And then they might make 10, 20%. And they're like, whew, made it. You need to consider your risk. I don't want to see anybody blowing up. Those charts from before on my KBIO, I got a lot of messages. They're like, Sykes, this is exactly why you should never short sell penny stocks and your strategy is all wrong. Well, guess what? My first millionaire student and I were short big KBIO the night that it went from 1 to nearly 20. And guess what? Or 2 to 20. And guess what? We cut losses quickly and we each lost a few $1,000s and we were fine. So if you play by the rules, it's really not as scary or risky as most people believe. But if you just keep adding to your shorts, I mean, this thing could hit 50. This could hit 70. This could hit 100. You don't know how high it goes because it's not based on logic. This is a short squeeze. So you can use all the logic in the world. Say, oh, this company's crap is going to go to zero. Maybe eventually. But how high will it go in the meantime? And how much are you risking to try to win in the end? There's a lot of short sellers that love shorting these stocks. GTZ, good till zero, because they're such crap. I think that's a very dangerous way to trade. And all it takes is one bad trade to wipe out weeks, months, years, decades of hard work. So I am trying to share with you the lessons that I've learned in an unbiased way. I don't care if it goes up. I don't care if it goes down. I really don't. Maybe this goes back down to 30 and 20 tomorrow. That's just as likely as it going to 50 to 70. But I want you to start thinking about the risks that you're taking. I don't want to see people blowing up. And congrats to many of you guys who are long. So many of you are nailing it. I got to start with Larissa. She's just paper trading. She's buying the weed stocks, but it's okay. She made 275 today. Here's Smarter Music, and I love this. He's showing all of his screenshots, and look at this. I mean, he's making good money, 3,200 today. Macon made 385, and Macon is holding overnight. Be very careful, Macon, okay? Just as I'm warning shorts that this stock could really blow up, longs, you're buying a stock up from 4 to 40, very, very risky, especially when it's your first day. I would have preferred if you had locked in that 385. You know, you say sounds good, we'll be up early to hold or dump, but you know, what if there's bad news overnight and the stock opens at 20? You know, you have to consider the risks. This is why I trade so cautiously, and yes, I'm a coward, and yes, I get made fun of, but I'm a safety first kind of guy. So especially when you're first beginning, please trade safer, lock in those profits. As I said in the chat room, if I was, you know, long DRYS at any time today, I probably would have locked in half or maybe even all of my profits before overnight. I don't like risk, okay? And overnight on a stock like this, long or short, I think is tremendously risky. Eric, I love this guy. He says, you know, markets are red and the stock rips 105%. He posted this in the middle of the day. And the market did go red today. Let me just show you. I mean, the S&P finished up a little bit. The NASDAQ actually went red because Trump is theoretically not good for tech stocks. And this one is actually keeps going down, down 1%. But, you know, the star of the day, again, is DRYS. And I am totally unbiased. Like, I really don't care what this stock does. And I think that's a good way to be when you're teaching, because if I was long, I'd be like, well, I think this is the best stock ever. You know, I think this is going to go up. But I don't care. I'm actually long GNRT, this boring little wannabe shipper, because I think that it could break this 460, 465 level after hours. It's up a few cents. The question is, if it breaks it, then it could keep going. Like, you know, EGLE actually keeps going nicely. What was the other one? EGLE, I guess, was the big one. DSX, did that keep going? Yeah, DSX is going up a little bit too. TOPS is another one in the shipping sector that goes up a little bit. So any of these can really keep spiking. And so I think, for me, I think it's better to be long biased right now, just because of the insanity for potential morning spikes. I mean, DRYS today, you know, right when the market opened, I mean, it opened at 1390. And in the first 20 minutes, I mean, it's up to the 17s. I know a lot of people that were shorting the morning spike here. And then they got squeezed all the way up to 24. And then they're shorting this, and they're adding, then they get squeezed, and then it comes down, they're adding, and then they get squeezed more. You can't fight a stock that keeps making new highs on the day. That's what I would warn you about. You know, if I was shorting, if I did find shares to short, I would cut losses quickly, because you don't know how high this can go. And you have to be very careful. It doesn't happen very often where a stock goes from single digits to 20, 30, 40. But it can happen. And all it takes is one, especially low float. Like, what are you guys doing being so aggressive shorting a low float stock? That creates the short squeeze. So I should be happy that this stock is so high. And whenever all the early shorts are squeezed, I mean, this will crash eventually. But the question is when. Because a lot of shorts I see are just adding to their position. And that creates a very potentially explosive situation. And I just don't want to see everybody blow up and lose a lot. You know, that really does no good for me in this industry. And it's just sad that a lot of people are put in that spot. But Eric recognized it. You know, the markets as a whole might be down, but there's a lot of plays. My student Joe made his first $100, and he says, "Thank you, Timothy Sykes, you made this possible." Well, thank you, Joe. Thank you for studying. Thomas did bought CARA. CARA is a nicer earnings winner, and you did buy it. Look at this. I mean, you have a nice little 70-cent a share bounce off the lows here. Okay, dip buying earnings winners works. It worked here once. Well, actually, let me go more than 3 days, just so you can see. I was buying this in the 7s. I was way too early. But 1 dip, bounce. 2 dip, bounce. 3 dip, bounce. 4th dip, bounce. Are you seeing a pattern yet? Okay, dip buying earnings winners. That's a lot safer. And congrats to Thomas, who nailed it. And he's controlling his emotions using stocks to trade. Good work. Sniper trades made a few hundred. Leanne, I wanted to highlight her just because she's watching. Let me show you her username so you can follow her. She's watching and learning while she's making her kids' school's lunches. That's awesome. That's dedication. Mark Crook did a great job. He's one of my upcoming millionaire students. He's up about 600,000 now. He nailed SINO. This is in the same sector. And he was buying it, alerting it in the challenge room in the 160s. And now I think he sold it all in the twos. So awesome job, man. He said he locked in most of his gains. Good job. Gary, look at this. I love this. He's nailing DRYS, profiting 1,600 just on 800 shares. That is fantastic. And again, be very careful. Lock it in. It's very nice. These are good profits, but just be careful. So good job, Gary. And then also, I want to talk about this tweet because I got a lot of flack for it, and I want to explain it. I'm not laughing at people who lose money, okay? I don't want traders to lose money. You have to understand, I talk to more traders than anybody else in this industry, so I hear what's going on. I'm laughing and mocking, and perhaps I shouldn't have. I'm sorry about this. But I'm laughing and mocking at the strategy where you think that you can just add to shorts and be okay. That, to me, it's laughable. It's so insane of a strategy. And the fact that it works most of the time, okay, that's cool. But again, all it takes is one time where you're wrong. And you keep adding and adding and adding, and you blow up. And you lose all your money, or you lose all your money and you owe your broker money. Like, it is such a bad strategy for shorting. And I get it. It works a lot of the time. But all it takes is one time. That's what I'm trying to remind you. And it's tough because a lot of people don't like to hear the other side of the story. They don't like to be reminded of being logical and overly safe. I'm not a popular guy because I trade so overly safe. And the most popular traders are those who bet it all and they risk it all and they have such big guts. And that's not me. And perhaps that's why I have the most successful students, because even if I'm not popular, my students are more profitable than anybody else. Other people who bet big, they lose big. Their students blow up. I don't want you to blow up like too many traders I know have when they don't pay attention to safety and rules. That is today's lesson. I don't care what happens with DRYS. I'll be watching tomorrow, from Asia in these crazy hours. And I'll be preparing my live webinar tomorrow night. But at the same time, please just consider safety, okay? I hate to be the guy who breaks up the party, but, a party's not fun if you're, like, cooking and the whole apartment explodes and everybody in the party dies. That's what could happen here with DRYS. I see way too many traders trading together. They like the safety of groups. They're all using, like, the same broker to short. Very, very dangerous, potentially explosive situation. And I'm sorry that if you thought that I was laughing at you, I really do not mean that. I just want everybody to be safe, and I want you guys to learn, and I want us all to be profitable. The more millionaire traders, the better. Trading and short selling and penny stocks are hated enough, and we should all really be trying to help each other. I expanded on this thought. I tweeted more. And I said this, these three right here. I said, it's amazing that shorts losing big get offended when I expose them. How many times have they ripped on longs? That's one thing, okay? Like, a lot of these shorts always rip on longs. Like, oh, why did you buy that terrible stock? Oh, it's getting crushed. And they're, of course, shorting it and pushing it down. So that doesn't feel very good. But even then, I probably should not have put the LOL. I'm sorry that, I said that. I really am, as I tweeted later, I'm never happy when people lose money. But it really is time that we stop fighting amongst each other. We should all help each other trade better. Longs or shorts, Democrats or Republicans. We must make trading great again, okay? Sharing useful tips, rules, patterns, so that we can all take safer, better, higher odds trades. And it should be us versus the market. How can we all help each other do better? And it's not by all taking the same trade and following each other. You should never follow any other trader. You should learn from other traders. And again, I must admit that I talk to more traders and upcoming traders than anybody else in the world. I can pretty much guarantee that. I don't think anybody else talks to as many longs and shorts as I do all day long. on social media, in person, on the phone, whatever have you, right? We need to help each other. And so this video is my saying, be careful. I'm trying to help you from blowing up. And if you have a small position and you're adding, like if you're shorting DRYS and you're like, hey, Tim, I am adding to my position. I shorted 100 shares, now 100 more, now 100 more. Okay, as long as you recognize the risks. I just see too many people shorting big in the 20s, 30s, and then like going all in the 40s. And this thing could go to the 50s or 60s or 70s. So don't put your foot down and don't put your foot in your mouth where you're like, this stock cannot go any higher. It can. Okay? We've seen several stocks go from single digits to 30s, 40s, 50s. And it is not impossible to see a stock go from single digits to hundreds. Just because it's unlikely does not mean that it's impossible. And sometimes that black swan type event can happen, and I don't want people blowing up. I'll see you guys in the chat room tomorrow. I got to go prepare this free webinar for you guys tomorrow. I hope that you're registered already. Thank you.